Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. I don't understand why people enable and indulge these types of people. What a complete and utter stupid woman. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Karen go boom. Wah. Okay, so background to this story. My parents and I had a family-run handyman/rental property make-ready business for a little over 20 years. As such, we were regular customers at one particular store. About 30-some-odd years ago, there was a lumberyard/building supply store in my city that everyone went to for all their building repair needs. It was a very busy store with lots of well-paid employees to help customers. Each assistant knew their section of the store and how products were to be used. Then the two big brand box stores moved into town and this lumberyard's business bottomed out. They went from a full, knowledgeable staff to a skeleton crew of minimum wage teens who didn't know the difference between a measuring tape and a yardstick, and the store manager. The manager, it should be noted, was a foul-tempered B-turd with zero tolerance dealing with anybody that wasn't a large account contractor. Us old-timers still preferred that store as we knew where everything was. When we needed something, we'd just go in and get it. No muss, no fuss. Now, because the store was so severely understaffed and the kids didn't know their butts from a hole in the ground, us old-timers were always willing to help people unfamiliar with the store to find whatever they were looking for. The setup. I'd gone into the store to get some pipe fittings and do a bit of browsing when I spotted an older gentleman looking lost. I approached him and made an offhand query if he needed help finding something. The look of relief on his face was palpable. He explained a recent windstorm had damaged the gate on his privacy fence and needed new hinge parts. I've been looking for someone to help me, but I've only found one kid who knew less than me and was no help, Mr. Gentleman said, with a profound air of annoyance. I told him I understood and explained why the service here was so bad now, and that in the future he should simply ask another customer for help. Odds were the other customer would be a regular who knew what and where. At this point, I directed Mr. Gentleman 3 aisles over to where the parts he needed were located. As we stood looking over the gate hardware, I made inquiries regarding the damage. It was fortunate that I did, as the damage he described was far more severe than a simple hinge change would fix. As I explained what he would need to do to fix the gate, we were interrupted by a clawed hand digging into my shoulder and a screech in my ear, "I need help!" Enter the Karen. This lady was of an older generation, caked on makeup, tight-fitting starch jacket and skirt, and impractical stiletto and high heels. I simply turned my body so she was forced to let go. I later checked, and her nails had left marks in my skin. Still, I was raised with manners, so I calmly said, "I don't work here, ma'am." "Liar! I saw you helping this man find what he wants. Now it's my turn. Find me this part for my rent house," Karen demanded, while holding up a slip of paper with notes scrawled on it. "I don't work here, ma'am. I'm a customer as well," I said once more while pointing at my clothes, which consisted of a black t-shirt, grungy and torn blue jeans, black surplus military boots, all of which were liberally covered in a combination of paint splatters, drywall spackle, and silicone caulking. Karen ignored what I said. "Look here, you little crap. I'm this store's largest customer, as I own over 300 rental properties across town, and the manager's a good friend of mine. If you don't give me this part now, I'll have your butt fired." Now, as I've said, the manager of this store was a nasty piece of work to anybody that didn't have a large bank book. From the looks of Karen's clothing and jewelry, I figured she'd be someone the manager would brown nose. As I didn't want to risk the manager banning me from the store just to curry favor with this Karen, I decided to just go along and help her find what she was looking for and be done with it. I took the paper and looked at the notes. It was a part for an old gas floor heating furnace. The system was no longer legally code compliant, but that didn't stop property owners from still using the stupid things if they could still find the parts. As I had to pull more than one of these cumbersome suckers out of rent homes after a plumber safely disconnected the gas lines. I knew a thing or two about them, including where the parts should be if they were available. I excused myself from Mr. Gentleman and took off at a brisk walk. Karen had to struggle to keep up in her too tight pencil skirt and heels. The heating aisle was 3/4 of the way across the store. Karen didn't seem to enjoy the brisk walk. I quickly walked down the aisleway looking for the part in question, and as I thought would be the case, the part was not stocked on the shelves. To my utter surprise, lo and behold, there were a couple of boxes of the part. Now, the real fun starts. I pointed out the part in question to Karen. "Get it," she demanded. "I can't. It's in the overstock. Only a store employee is allowed to use the ladder to get something off those shelves," I explained. "You are an employee," Karen screamed in my face. "I've been told I have the patience of a saint, but I have my limits. Rampant stupidity is my Rubicon. Listen here, you great blathering moron. I am not an employee," I screamed right back. "I am a customer. Customer. Customera. A person who buys here, not works here. Go to the front desk and tell whoever's working that you need that part off the overstock. They'll get someone who does work here to get the ladder and get the part for you." With that, I walked away. This was a Karen I was dealing with, so not over with. I'd returned to Mr. Gentleman, who, should be noted, informed me he had a good laugh when he heard me spelling out customer at the top of my considerable baritone lungs over halfway across the store. As we were wrapping up our previously interrupted discussion concerning the repairs of this fence gate, a young woman approached Mr. Gentleman and I. "Excuse me," she said. "Yeah," I responded. My first thought was she was a customer who needed some help. "I know you don't work here because," she pointed to my clothes, "and I'm pretty sure everybody in the state heard you spelling out customer." Mr. Gentleman snickered. "But since nobody else seems to be around that does work here, I thought I should tell somebody that I just saw that woman pushing the ladder down the same aisle I saw you and that woman in earlier," the young woman said. I was like, oh crap. I took off like a rocket heading for the front of the store. It only took me a handful of seconds to get to the registers and ordering counter. As I feared, the only person at the stations was the manager, and he was busy talking to a contractor on the phone. Easy to deduce, due to the simple fact he was sounding friendly. I waved my arms to get his attention, and he turned away, ignoring me. I began slapping the counter loudly while yelling his name. He put a finger in his opposite ear to drown out the sounds. "Do you know those reddish discs of peanut brittle some stores have at the counters? Makes for great projectiles?" Mr. Manager was quite vulgar in his displeasure, having had one bounce off his head. I cut off his tirade by yelling that one of his customers was trying to use a stock ladder to get a box off the overstock shelf. That shut him up, long enough for the both of us to hear a woman's scream of distress echoing across the building. He looked at me with dawning horror, and I simply said, "Heating aisle." We took off running. We found Karen lying at the bottom of the stock ladder, her left foot bare of shoe and twisted around in the opposite direction it should be pointing. Her missing shoe, the stiletto heel protruding through the steel grating, was at the top of the ladder's platform. It was obvious the heel had slipped through the grating. Karen had lost her balance and broke her ankle while falling. Mr. Manager used his walkie-talkie to order a yard guy to call for an ambulance. During the entire time we were waiting for the ambulance to arrive, Karen just kept screaming and screaming. Understandable, being in pain, but sheesh, did she have a high pitch. When the medics began to take her away, she pointed at me and yelled at Mr. Manager, "I want him fired!" Mr. Manager looked at me, looked at her, back at me, then back to her and said, "He doesn't work here, but I'll fire him anyways, okay?" Mr. Gentleman, standing nearby observing the events, busted a gut laughing. Funny enough, a couple years later, her rental agency became our second largest client. She would tell people that story from her point of view and blame the bad employee for her broken ankle. She never recognized me. And our next story. Karen disrespects restrictions and gets banned from pool. Cast: EM entitled Mother, EK entitled Kid, OP me, PC pool cleaner/janitor. Our story begins mid-March 2020. I live in a gated community with a community pool, and during lockdown we had a one-unit house at a time rule. So me and my younger sister, you're not allowed to be in the pool without supervision if under 12. She was 8 and I was 17, and we were just swimming around. I was teaching her how to dive in, etc., etc. EM comes into the pool area with full-on towels, sun cream, goggles, swim cap, the whole 9 yards. Note, because of COVID, we're not allowed to sunbathe, etc. because of the 1-unit rule. So she sets up all her stuff, bringing with a snotty-looking kid, EK, and sits down. She then tells EK to go hop in the water and play with those nice girls. I'd been ignoring her until now because what's the harm in her sitting while she waits for us to finish up? I speed across the pool and ask her not to do that as the pool's quite small and EK has a cold, so she shouldn't be trying to get in the pool with us. Here's the dialogue. OP: Ma'am, please, can you not allow your child to get in? He's breaking COVID rules. EM: But my baby is hot. You've been in for ages. Why can't he have a go? Note, we've been in the pool for 20 minutes. OP: Please get out of the pool or I'll have to call the pool cleaner. EM: Go ahead and try. Me and my baby will stay. I go over to my bag and grab my phone from my jeans, and I'm dialing the number when that little crap EK comes up to me and attempts to take my phone. He succeeds and is about to throw it in the pool when my little sis comes up and grabs it. Good job, sis. I call the PC and he comes down. EM and EK are now banned from the pool permanently. Sorry if this isn't very dramatic. It was really stressful for me and I have severe anxiety. EM is infamous for many things in the neighborhood. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.